Hey everyone, intuitive and astrologer Lisa Salvatore here to talk to you about the beginning of June, mainly the full moon in Sagittarius that takes place on June 3rd. So before we begin, if you are new to my channel, welcome. I am Lisa Salvatore. I am a psychic. I am an astrologer. I offer private consultations, group sessions, workshops. Be sure to sign up for my newsletter linked in the description box below. And if you are familiar with me, welcome back. Thank you for being here. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe and smash the bell icon so that you can be notified of new uploads. First things first, I have done a detailed forecast for the year for 2023, and I have broken it down in 3-month increments. The first installment was January through March. The second installment, which we're still in the midst of, was April through June. The next installment will be July through September, and then the final installment will be October through December. Now, when you purchase the yearly forecast, you purchase all 4 installments, but they are not released all at once. The reason I am bringing this up is because I have slashed the price. Since we are now at the halfway mark of the year, I have slashed the price in half. I never do this, but I felt like a lot of people need this information right now, and I trust, because I do work very closely with spirit, with my spirit team, with energy, I trust that whoever is meant to get the forecast, whoever is meant to be led to me, is meant to be here. And there is something in there for you. So again, check out that link for the 2023 forecast. It is linked in the description box below. It was $89.99 for the whole entire year. It is now going to be $49.99, and you're still going to get the previous installments. So don't worry, it's always helpful to track it back and see where you were then and where you are now. So again, if you purchase the 2023 forecast, you're going to get 2 videos. You're going to get January through March, and then you're going to get April through June. I go through this collectively and then by sign. There is a lot of information in these videos. July, August, and September will be released at the end of June. And then October, November, and December will be released at the end of September. I don't want to give them to you all at once because I don't want it to overwhelm you. That's why I send them out in 3-month increments. And from what I've heard from those that have purchased, they love the way that I've done that because it's more easily digestible. So anyway, again, half price, half off, great deal. I never do that. Go and check it out. Linked in the description box. I also offer private consultations. I've just opened up my calendar for the next 3 months. And again, you can find all of the sessions that I offer along with my availability right at my website, linked below. All right, today that I'm recording this video, it is May 31st. Tomorrow is June 1st. Now, June is a very dynamic month, okay? June is a very passionate month. There is a lot of strong energy in the month of June. A lot of June is geared towards our purpose, our future, our collective destiny, and also the destiny of our soul. Tomorrow, June 1st, Jupiter, the planet of expansion, abundance, benevolence, faith, optimism, hope. Jupiter is the cosmic magnifier, okay? Jupiter is at 3 degrees of Taurus, and the North Node is at 3 degrees of Taurus, and Jupiter and the North Node are going to align in a perfect conjunction tomorrow, June 1st. Now, this is not just an energy that we feel on June 1st. We are going to be under this energy. We are feeling this energy. We've been feeling it, and we're going to continue to feel it for some ways out into the future. Key word with the North Node is future. Now, the North Node is not a planet. The North and the South Node are exact opposite points in the sky. They're points in space. They are a calculation of the point of intersection of the sun and the moon's path. That is why the North and South nodes are referred to as the lunar nodes. When we have eclipses, they occur on this nodal axis, North Node or South Node. The North and South nodes represent fate. The South Node is the previous lifetime. The South Node is where we are coming from. It is a place of familiarity and comfort. The North Node is where we are constantly stretching and yearning and growing toward. There's a hunger where the North Node is present, but the North Node is not comfortable and it is not familiar. We are always going to feel the longing and the calling toward our North Node, but we're going to be more comfortable with the South Node. But remember, in comfort zones, complacency can grow. And we don't want to stay complacent. That is not what we are here to do. And this Jupiter North Node alignment is really reminding us of our own truth. Key word for Jupiter is truth. Key word for the North Node is destiny. This is all about aligning with our truth, with our destiny, with our soul purpose. Think about the North Node like a karmic contract that you made to your soul, that when you came back here into this lifetime and you reincarnated, you packed your psychic suitcase, like I always say, and you chose these lessons. But your North and South Node represent one of, if not the biggest lessons in your birth chart. Again, if you don't know what your North and South nodes are, I have linked a video below to identify that in your birth chart. And there's also a video there that tells you specifically what the nodal axis represents by sign. So you're going to want to check that out. But again, it is a point of fate. It is destiny, destiny of the soul. This also applies collectively. So Jupiter lining up with the North Node in Taurus brings to light a lot of truth and illumination around the Taurus areas of life, collectively speaking. This is the weather. This is the food supply. This is money. This is security, okay? Taurus. So we're going to likely be hearing a lot more over this next year in relation to the Taurus areas of life, okay? Now, personally speaking, you're going to want to look to where Taurus falls in your chart because this is the area of your life, okay? Even if you don't have any planets in Taurus, Taurus rules over a house in your chart, which is areas of life. And this is where that Jupiter North Node conjunction is taking place. Think of this as your higher spiritual calling, a place of growth and truth and expansion. It's a conscious awareness of what you want to move toward. And the more uncomfortable it feels, the more you're meant to move toward it. Remember that. The only thing that grows in comfort zones is complacency. So with this Jupiter North Node conjunction, opportunities can come in, blessings can come in, but it might not be right now. It might not be on June 1st. It could be leading up to June 1st. It could be after. You may not even notice it until a year down the line when you look back and you recognize that a specific person came into your life at a specific day and time that then pushed you onto your true path, your true north, your true destiny. Okay, so we need to think bigger picture. That's what Jupiter represents, the bigger picture, the higher perspective. So be open-minded, have faith. Fate and faith, two very big words right now. Taurus wants us to be comfortable and safe and secure. So this alignment is helping us in one or more areas of our lives to bring us into alignment, to bring us into that most authentic space and truth. We are all experiencing this, both collectively and then, of course, personally. Now, to make an even bigger deal about Jupiter, we have to talk about this. We have a full moon in Sagittarius that takes place on June 3rd. Now, this full moon takes place on June 3rd or June 4th, depending on the part of the world that you are in. But here on the East Coast, it's June 3rd, 11:42 p.m. Eastern Time, and it is at 13 degrees and 18 minutes of Sagittarius. Now, while everybody will be affected by this full moon, those that are going to feel this the strongest are going to be if you have strong mutable energy, which is Sagittarius, Gemini, Virgo, or Pisces, and even more specifically, if any of your points or placements fall between 10 and 16 degrees, I would say, of any of those mutable signs, or if you have strong fixed energy, which is Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, and Aquarius, okay? You will be feeling this full moon energy the strongest. Now, there's a lot of good with this full moon, and I'm going to pull up the chart in a moment and show you. There's a lot of optimism, positivity surrounding this full moon, but there is also a lot of tension present. There is a strong focus on relationships, connections, and communications. All right, let's backtrack for a moment. When we have a full moon, it is when the sun and the moon are in exact opposition to each other, okay, in the sky. So the sun is currently in Gemini, and the full moon is going to take place in Sagittarius, exact opposition. When we have a full moon, it pulls focus onto the opposing energies in our lives, the opposing forces, the yin versus the yang, okay, the internal versus the external, the head versus the heart, the practical versus the impractical, okay? All of the polarities become highlighted. We have a tug of war between our head and our heart. We know full moons can lend to insomnia, headaches, digestive disturbances, many things. But more importantly, they bring up heightened emotions, heightened awareness. Both Gemini and Sagittarius are mutable signs. They move around, they're versatile, they like to converse, they like to talk, they like to teach. They're constantly seeking more. There could be a level of chaotic energy around this full moon because it's mutable energy, okay? We could feel a little bit all over the place. As I'm saying this, I'm thinking of my late grandmother. She used to say, "You're like horse shit. You're all over the place." That's kind of what this full moon feels like. Our emotions can feel like that, very scattered. Our energies can feel very scattered. The symbol for Sagittarius is the archer, the centaur, half man, half horse, holding a bow and arrow, okay? So think about your target, Jupiter, bigger picture. Think about the target. One of the shadow components to Jupiter and to Sagittarius is that we can overshoot, we can overreach, okay? And we can miss the mark because of that. So we wanna watch out for that. We wanna watch out for any greed. We wanna watch our vices at this time, okay? Because Jupiter can tend to overdo it. Go big or go home. Sometimes Jupiter goes too big. So we don't wanna get too big for our britches. We wanna remain conscious and aware every single step of the way. Remember the North Node's attached here, okay? Collective calling, the destiny, the future. And I also want to mention that with this full moon, we're dealing with a square, which is tension, to the planet Saturn, okay? And Saturn is all about karma, and Saturn is all about time, and Saturn is about doing things the right way, And there's a reminder here with this full moon and with the month of June in general that everything that we do has karmic implication. Now, that doesn't mean it's good, nor does that mean it's bad. It just means it simply is. Every action has repercussions, as does every inaction, right? The moves we don't make, the blessings that we don't accept, the lessons that we don't accept. These all have consequences. This is karma. This is how we accrue karma. But positively speaking, there could be a lot of blessings that come up around this full moon. You can have a lot of opportunities come to you. There could be a strong element of healing and awareness at a very different level, at a much higher level, at a much higher spiritual level than you could ever have possibly imagined. But you have to be open-minded. You have to be open to receiving all of this. More than anything else, the sign of Sagittarius is connected to truth, honesty, and justice, okay? Social justice and also personal justice. And Sagittarius can also be, and typically is, very blunt. There's this bottom line energy present with Sagittarius energy. It is what it is. We can't sugarcoat it. So just know that relationships of all kinds are going to be under fire right now. And speaking of fire, our fire signs are also going to be very activated by this full moon energy. Sagittarius, Aries, and Leo. You may find yourself really hot under the collar, really temperamental, really aggravated. Positively speaking, you could be very, very motivated to getting things done. So use that energy of potential animosity for betterment in a specific relationship or for fuel to move forward on projects. Now, I also want to stress with this full moon that contacts, communications, relationships, very heated. Wherever there are any issues, communication issues, or issues around boundaries, they're going to be highlighted under this full moon. Absolutely. You can almost guarantee it. And even more so because we're dealing with this Jupiter North Node conjunction. So if there's something that you've been avoiding, just know that it's going to become glaringly obvious to you why you can't avoid it any longer, or the way it will impact you negatively if you avoid it. It may impact your blessings if you avoid it. And for you, it's going to be different. For everybody, it's going to be different. It's going to be personally different for everybody. But this is a spiritually enlightening energy. Let me go ahead and pull up the chart. All right, so we've got our Sagittarius full moon, June 3rd. Takes place at 11:42 p.m. Eastern Time at 13 degrees and 18 minutes of Sagittarius. And again, we see the moon, the full moon here at 13 degrees, 18 Sag, directly opposite the sun in Gemini at 13 degrees and 18 minutes of Sagittarius. Now, Gemini is the sign of communication. Sagittarius is the sign of truth and justice. So we've already got a theme going on here. Injustices will have to be tended to, both collectively speaking and personally speaking. We're dealing with Jupiter, we're dealing with the North Node in Taurus. The Taurian themes of life are coming into question here as well. Finances, the Earth's resources, the way that we are working with the Earth's resources, our security, our financial and our personal security, all highlighted. Communication and truth coming out in these areas. Now, like I mentioned, we have Saturn over here at 7 degrees of Pisces in a separating square from this full moon. So again, Saturn is just reminding us that if we have come up against a boundary or some boundaries, we need to look at that. We need to look at the restrictions and we need to figure out if and how we can work around them if we're meant to, if it's karmically correct for us to look at this. Now remember, Saturn is a planet of karma, okay? Saturn is the planet of time. It is not meant to punish us. It is just meant to give us a deeper awareness. Now, positively speaking, Saturn can work very well for us if we've been doing our work. So a lot of good can come of this. Again, the overall tone of this full moon is quite optimistic and it is very much connected to our future and to our destiny because we're dealing with Jupiter and the North Node. Now, Jupiter is also the ruling planet of Sagittarius, which makes Jupiter the ruler of this full moon. So that makes whatever Jupiter is doing that much more amplified. And we know Jupiter is the amplifier, the cosmic magnifying glass. So he's very important at this full moon. And lining up with the North Node, this is really positive. Now, Jupiter and the North Node will meet up every 12 years or so, but they don't typically meet up in the same sign by conjunction. Most of us will only see this type of an energy once, if maybe twice in our lifetime here. So this is a big deal. Jupiter, the universe, wants to bless us, but we have to take the steps and open ourselves up to a higher belief, to a higher awareness, to this energy of knowing that there's more out there for us in whatever way that works in our lives. Think bigger picture, what you want your life to look like and what you need to release, because full moons are always about release, what you may need to release, what habits, what behaviors, what relationships, what is getting in your way of living in your most authentic space and truth. That's going to be highlighted around this full moon. Now, we've also got a meeting of the minds that's happening and the potential for some tremendous insights, both intuitively and logically speaking. We've got Mercury over here at 19 degrees and 33 minutes of Taurus. Mercury is now direct, moving forward in the sky out of shadow, full speed ahead. And then we've got Uranus right here at 20 degrees and 22 minutes of Taurus. So Uranus and Mercury are conjunct, they're aligned. Now, why is this so significant? Because Uranus and Mercury both rule over the mind. Uranus is the higher mind, the intuitive mind, where Mercury is the lower mind, our basic cognitive function, okay? So these two meeting up together is like eureka moments left and right, even in the dream space. Now, on the other side, we could receive some information from an outside source that shakes us up. But again, the purpose is to put you onto your purpose. Jupiter North Node, I don't want you to lose sight of that with all this Taurus energy here as well. The key word is stability. That's what we're going for. That's what we're moving toward. This is very strong soul-driven energy. This is a great full moon to meditate under to get some intuitive insights. The stars are supporting you. The stars are with you. The divine is with you, always with you, but more so around this full moon. There's a strong energy of connection, connectedness. Now, Pluto over here at 0 degrees of Aquarius is also opposing Venus. So this could bring in like a sexy, spicy kind of an energy. It could also bring in this energy of opposition and tension. Now, Pluto's also squaring the north and south node. So Pluto's squaring the nodal axis. So again, there's this reminder here of stripping down to the bottom of any superficiality in your reality. Again, only you are going to know what that is, right? But it will be revealed at a much higher octave, at a much higher level for you. Pluto wants us to get down and dirty to the nitty-gritty, to the truth, and strip away what is not working to release the toxicity, mind, body, spirit. So we still have this Grand Cross energy that we've been talking about over the last 2 weeks. It is still very active between Pluto and the nodes of the moon, the north and south node. Also Mars over here, loosely opposing all of this, okay? Mars in Leo is fire, it's tension, it's heat, it's drive. It also can lend toward animosity. So again, there's a lot around this full moon energy. There's a lot around the month of June. There's a lot of tension, but that tension is meant to break. And we know that the only way out is through. And this full moon is going to remind us of that. Now, even though this is not an eclipse, okay, it feels like one because we are so strongly dealing with the North Node. We've got Jupiter, the ruler of this full moon, because Jupiter rules Sagittarius. We've got Jupiter in Taurus lined up with the North Node in Taurus. When we have eclipses, they happen at the nodes of the moon. That's where we have eclipses. It's either a North Node eclipse or a South Node eclipse. So yes, this is not an eclipse, but we've got Jupiter conjunct in the North Node. So again, very attached to the future. And I sound like a broken record, but this is a big deal. This is a full moon you want to work with. This is a full moon you want to sit with and reflect upon what is going on for you. You want to give more attention and pay more attention to those bigger ideas and pictures that you have in your mind, in your heart, in your soul. Your big ideas and plans, your vision for the future. You want to maintain an open mind. You want to look at the bright side and the possibilities of everything that is going on around you. And you maybe even want to plan an adventure, plan to explore. Sagittarius is the sign of the adventurer, the explorer. Maybe you plan a trip to another country, to another land, or you enlist in a course to learn a foreign language. This is all Sagittarian themes. Higher learning, the higher mind, expansion, exploring, philosophy, faith, religion, beliefs, all of that. That is Sagittarius. Perhaps you're thinking of things in a completely different way than you have ever thought before. Whatever it is, take notice, take heart. And also, we've got Neptune trining Venus, which is lovely, again, for our relationships, for connections, for spiritual work, for intuitive work. So again, there's a lot of good here. There's a lot of hope. There's a lot of optimism. But there is also a lot of heat and a lot of tension present. And you need to be mindful and aware of what is going on around you. Because if there are boundary issues, communication issues in one or more relationships in your life, they're going to be highlighted under this full moon. Absolutely. There's a strong tone of teacher-student or the guru under this energy as well. So you could be schooled by somebody or you could be the one schooling them. You think you're right, they think they're right, the tension mounts. It's like we're in the boxing match again. There's a lot of fire energy present, a lot of fixed energy present. But again, when we bust through that tension, that's how we move through it. Once something is brought out into conscious awareness, we can then deal with it more effectively. And we can move forward, either with or without specific energies. Okay, so if you are an Aries rising, this full moon is going to illuminate your 9th house. Now, the 9th house is the house ruled by Jupiter. So you are going to be focused upon the ninth house areas of life, which are religion, philosophy, faith, belief, higher learning. Perhaps travel factors into this. What do you need to release? What do you need to let go of to help propel you forward more on your path? If you are a Taurus rising, this full moon is going to illuminate your 8th house. The 8th house is where we have our most intimate connections, intimate issues, psychological issues, anything surrounding sex, death, taxes, debt, emotional, physical, spiritual debt, other people's money, any loans, banking. Deep stuff, taboo stuff that we don't always like to talk about, that we typically don't like to talk about publicly, this will be coming up for you. Something in these areas will be coming up for you if you're a Taurus rising, and something might be highlighted for you to become more cognizant of, to become more aware of, so that you can release it for once and for all. If you are a Gemini rising, this full moon is lighting up your 7th house of commitments, relationships, negotiations, partnerships. If you are a Gemini rising going through some sort of a separation in any kind of partnership or a divorce or anything financial, a lot will be coming up for you under this full moon. Just know that. You may receive a vital piece of information that helps you decide whether you're going to sever a specific connection or work on it. But either way, something is going to be highlighted for you. This is a powerful full moon for you if you're Gemini rising. Cancer rising, this full moon is going to illuminate your 6th house of health, daily routines, habits, and service. If you have any kind of health issue going on, regardless of how minor, remember Jupiter is going to expand, okay? So Jupiter may make it more pronounced for you. You're going to become much more aware of something and you'll feel the need to take care of it. I do feel, as I'm saying this, that for the Cancer rising, this has to do with your stomach, digestion. It could be Crohn's, it could be celiac, it could be, dairy intolerance or something. But there is something that needs to be dealt with delicate stomach function here, if you're a Cancer rising. Now, not for everyone, but for some of you that are watching this, it's going to be highlighted under this full moon. Or you're going to be very aware of something you need to shift in your health routine. Fitness. Perhaps you want to start working out. Perhaps you want to change locations within your job. You want to switch departments, change up the daily routine a little bit. It's going to be highlighted for you under this energy. Leo rising, this full moon's going to light up your 5th house of fun and pleasure and play. This is also children, the house of love. So if you have any issues in any of these areas of your life, it's going to be highlighted for you under this full moon. Perhaps you're not spending enough time with the children in your life. Perhaps you're not connecting enough to your own inner child. Perhaps you're not creating enough, or you're blocking yourself from true creation. This will be highlighted for you under this full moon. You may even release a project that's just not working out for you. Virgo rising, this full moon is going to light up your 4th house of your family, your relationships, your family relationships, your literal home. For some of you, you might be renovating a home. You might be moving. You might be putting your house on the market. It's time to move on. There's a lot of moving on here if you're a Virgo rising, and it's only going to take you to a better space. So just let go to grow. Libra rising, this full moon is going to take place in your 3rd house of communication projects, your siblings, cousins, community, those that are like your siblings and your cousins. Strong emphasis around communication with this full moon. So if you have any communication issues with a family member, it is going to likely be highlighted and come to a head under this full moon, specifically if it's a sibling, and even more specifically if it's a brother. I'm just feeling that intuitively. So again, Libra, much like Sagittarius, is connected to the truth and connected to justice. But Libra is more connected to harmony, where Sagittarius is more connected to the truth. So you are being encouraged under this full moon, if you're a Libra rising, to strive more towards the truth versus the harmony. So even if you have to take something out of harmony to get to the truth and be honest, you need to do that. If you don't do that, you're stunting your karma. Okay, Scorpio rising, this full moon is going to take place in your 2nd house, okay? The 2nd house is what rules over your personal finances, your self-worth, what you value, what you have, what you own, what is yours, and how you're connected to that. It's also the sensual, it's also the pleasures of life, the physical. So if you're not honoring your need for physicality beyond the material, it's going to be highlighted for you under this full moon, because there's much more to life than the material. You're going to want to pay attention to your personal finances as well, so that you don't have any skipped steps. Something's likely going to be revealed to you, where you have to revise your own personal finances. Now, this is not bad. This is actually for protection. And it goes without saying, when we don't feel good financially, we just don't feel good. That's going to be very much highlighted under this full moon for you. Sagittarius rising, this is your full moon, okay? This is your 1st house. This is your physicality. This is your expression. This is you. If you want to make changes to the physical body, to the emotional body, this is the full moon where it's going to be highlighted for you just exactly why and how you need to do it, the steps you need to take. If you don't like the way you're being presented out in the world, you need to make a change here. Are you being honest with yourself? Are you being most authentic? Are you living in your truth? How are your most intimate relationships? This is going to be very much highlighted for you under this full moon, okay? Just much like Gemini rising, for Sagittarius rising, there's a lot centered around the communication in your most intimate and important, I should say, connections. They could be business, they could be platonic, they could be romantic, they could even be family. So the way you might be representing yourself or misrepresenting yourself or others is going to come up for you under this full moon. But the ultimate bottom line is that it's for healing, awareness, and truth. The truth shall set you free. Capricorn rising, this full moon is illuminating your 12th house, which is behind the scenes. So this full moon is going to remind you that you need to take some time in solitude. You need to take some time to tend to the spiritual body. You need to meditate. You need to go into a little bit of seclusion under this full moon energy. It's going to be very beneficial for you to do that. Capricorn risings have a tendency to be overworkers, okay? And we want you to really look at the ways you might be doing yourself a disservice by being too much of a workaholic or by putting too much energy into others and not enough into the self. And you may even have a little bit of a health situation come up under this full moon to remind you that you need to rest. Could be just simply a bad headache. But whatever it is, you must tend to the spiritual body and the physical body. Aquarius rising, this full moon is going to light up your 11th house of friendships, networking, and groups that you're a part of. And I specifically want to emphasize the friendship portion here. I feel like for many of you Aquarius risings, there's going to be a friendship that has sailed. The relationship has sailed, but you're still kind of hanging on by a thread, or they're still hanging on to the lifeboat. It could even be a trauma bond and you're beyond that now. And you're like, I'm done with this relationship, but I just don't know how to release it for once and for all. This full moon could bring up a glaring difference in this relationship. It's going to be your lifeboat. It's going to be your savior where you can actually finally move on. So use it wisely. Use this energy wisely. It's a gift if you look at it the right way. You may have to hurt somebody else in the process, but your peace is far more important. Just be kind about it. Lead with love. Pisces rising, this full moon is going to light up your 10th house. This is all about your professional life, your career, your public face. Some of you might be getting a new job. Some of you may be leaving an old job. You may be starting your own business. There's a new endeavor here under this energy. You're being asked to have faith, to trust, to move forward fearlessly. It does not feel easy for you. You're asking to go out on a limb on blind faith. If ever there were a time for you to do that, Pisces rising, it is now. Remember, Jupiter is also your ruling planet. It's lined up with the North Node in Taurus. It's asking you, where do you want to go? And what are you willing to do to get there? And this is pertaining to your career, your trajectory. What do you really want to do, Pisces? Ask yourself that and act accordingly. Okay, so there you have it. That is your reading for the full moon in Sagittarius. I hope that you found this helpful. Again, remember, the 2023 forecast is now half off, available for purchase, linked in the description box below. Also with my website where you can book a session, a private session. And also if you want to identify your nodal axis, your north and south node, there's a video linked below about that as well. It's definitely worth it to check that out. See how it resonates. Let me know, comment below. I read all the comments. All right, take really good care of yourselves, and I'll be back soon with more on the month of June. Again, this is a very big, powerful, fiery, dynamic month that is really invested in putting us on our path, living into our most authentic soul truth. That is not always, if ever, going to feel easy. There are going to be tears along the way. We're going to have to release things that we didn't maybe want to release. We're going to have this energy of release, and there could be pain attached to that. But there can also be a beautiful rainbow at the end of that. Keep that in mind. Keep sight of that. Remember, Jupiter conjunct the North Node. Take one step towards the gods, and they will take 10 steps towards you. Okay, bye.